Hello everyone, this is Jimmy and welcome to episode 13 of FTB Interactions. Before we get started today, or I guess as we get started today, I want to point out a strange quirk of logistics pipes I just found. So in this pipe I have an advanced extractor module, right? Normally what goes here is just an input chest. If I want to put stuff away, I put it in there. Say I want to put these gems away, they go in there. And it takes it like a couple seconds for it to realize, oh wait, I have items to suck up. Come on. This is your cube pipe. I'm telling you now that you can pick up these. There we go. Thank you. Anyways, it's actually, so it takes it forever to realize there's items. And once there are items, if I give it a lot of items, it only withdraws, apparently task completed. It only withdraws one stack like a second. And that's with all the upgrades, right? These only stack to 16. I can't go any higher. Earlier, I was thinking, well, if I want it faster, can I just put another set of upgrades in there? But I realized if I put a regular extractor instead of an advanced extractor, it's like an order of magnitude faster. So I picked up the modular storage that I had there because it's mostly full. And if I put it here, it's so much faster. It's withdrawing, 10 stacks a second maybe. But if I swap it to the advanced extractor, not only does it take it a couple seconds to wake up, it only does like a stack a second. Why is the advanced extractor so much worse than the normal? Comparing the difference, the only thing is the advanced extractor gets a filter, whereas the normal one does not. But it's like an order of magnitude slower as a result. So anyways, I'm going to replace the advanced extractor with the normal one. And I'm pretty sure you can run two modules side by side as well. That just makes it, faster. Because sometimes I'll go out mining. Nowadays when I mine, I take a modular storage with me as portable storage. And I can come back with up to 300 stacks of items. And then when I drop them off here, it takes it, well, before it took it 5 minutes to empty the chest. Anyways, just an interesting logistics pipes quirk, I guess. So anyways, since last episode, the pack has also been updated. The biggest change, well, one change is I've lost all my bookmarks. I always forget to transfer my bookmarks file over. But the meaningful change is that fluid conduits are now cheaper. Especially ender fluid conduits. So they're now made with pressurized fluid conduits, which is just fused quartz, and enhanced ender alloy, which is rose gold and ender pearls in a alloy smelter. Rose gold can now be made in a MV blast furnace. Takes it, let's see, 300 seconds is 5 minutes, right? So 4.5 minutes per. So this is like 1 day's worth of blast furnace work. Get to it, blast furnace. But I mean, each one makes 8. Say each piece of rose gold makes 8 ender fluid conduits, which is good. It takes some time, but it's not resource intensive. And it means we don't have to do these cable things anymore. So once our rose gold is done, I'll probably actually replace, maybe I won't, I don't know. If it ain't broke, don't fix it, right? I dislike the use of programming mods, so... But it's already done. I'll probably leave it alone. I don't know. In any event, I'm just happy that I have ender fluid conduits again. Some other changes include a change to the recipe for PVC. So if you remember before, I was making this polyethylene, right? Where was I doing that? Here. The plastic-rich eggs make polyethylene. However, because they go directly to polyethylene, we couldn't make PVC. Well, now, because of a new recipe, we can now mix polyethylene with chlorine to make PVC. So I no longer have to fork this production chain to make PVC. I can continue it after I make polyethylene. Some of it I split off to make PVC with, which will be a help later on once I go through I only have 29 pieces of PVC left. So once I go through those 29 pieces, I guess it'll be good that we can make it more easily. To start off our project for today, then, let's automate the running of the Dandelifean so that we can make mana automatically. Right now, what I'm doing is grabbing 6 pieces of cellular block, making sure this is off, placing them down in this pattern, and then turning it on. Naturally, this is a process that can be automated, so why don't we do so? Somewhat unrelated, but since I was doing the crafting in the Crucible, it reminded me, one thing that changed in this recent update was that blue steel tools were nerfed significantly. I don't have any on me to show you, but their durability was reduced significantly. But I think the intent of that was to push you towards thaumium tools, so blue steel can now be used to make thaumium at a 1-to-2 ratio, which is better than regular steel, even though blue steel is effectively the same as steel, right? You can make it, as soon as you can make steel, you can probably make blue steel. But the big change is that aquamarine was given this set of aspects on it, and that makes it an almost pure precantatial source, something that has been lacking. So we can now make blue steel, or we can make thaumium very easily by aquamarine, that, and there we go. We get 1 stack of thaumium per half stack of blue steel, and it is 100% clean, right? I leaked 0 flux doing that. So yeah, it's super convenient, and now we can use thaumium tools instead. And bam, we're done. So this took a long time, a really long time. If you look at the day number under my map, I don't know how many days this passed. It's been an hour plus for me. The crafting at first I thought was pretty bad. The block gates take an auto breaker and an auto placer each, which like I had to do some Thaumcraft crafting, and I had to make something. Make void crystals, which had to be made in the phytogenic insulator. No, that took like 15 minutes. I thought I was like, all right, this is the hard part. No, oh, how wrong I was. So let's get into the code. Yeah, this is a disaster. Starting from the left side, let's put this one here, because crossing the wires is exactly what we want to do. The left side here is completely independent of everything else. Its purpose is to take items you put in here and craft them into cellulose. Great, easy, done. I'm not going to stress that, you input items, it crafts, it outputs. Now for the real part of the code, which is everything else. Make the mana. What happens is I check to see if the mana pool is full or if the kill switch is on. If either of those are on, it's dead, Jim. All right, that's fine. Moving on, if it is already running. So this is some logic I had to implement to make it so that... Let's rewind a bit. This entry point here runs every X seconds. So I can say every 5 seconds, check the redstone condition of this, not that one, this redstone receiver. And if it is high, that is if it is receiving a redstone signal, don't do anything. If it's low, continue to hear. Cool. So this if running will check the status of this redstone receiver. If it is receiving a redstone signal, then don't start a new cycle. It's basically saying wait for the current cycle to finish. However, the machine inventory manager doesn't actually support timers. I guess it kind of does. I did something slightly strange here. I wonder, maybe I did it wrong. Basically, actually I did do it wrong, didn't I? So, okay, I'll explaining code is hard. What I essentially did was when I want it, like when it runs, it takes it, however many seconds, right? About 60 seconds to run. So what I do is I pulse this redstone emitter, which locks the sequencer on for like 56 seconds, which this receiver reads. I forgot that I can just, in the emitter, instead of pulsing it for 10 ticks and letting the sequencer turn that into a 56-second signal, I could have just directly had the redstone emitter turn on for 56 seconds by setting this to 56 seconds. All right, whatever. I've already done it. I'm not going to break it to fix it again. Anyways, if it is running, I output a sign. This sign is just for debugging purposes. I had to do a lot of debugging. This is mostly my fault for not remembering how SFM works. So anyways, where were we? If it is running, turn the sign on to say that it's running. Otherwise, we continue down the logic flow here. We set the sign to say it's starting. Then we pulse this timer. Then we have a for each loop here. So what that means is for each item in this initial outputs loop, in this initial outputs variable, which is every block gate. So there are 6 block gates placed underneath these cobblestones. Block gates place an item with one air block, or one block between them and the target, so you need them one away. Anyways, it says for each block gate input a piece of cellular block. Oh, I skipped this condition first. If there are at least 6 pieces of cellular blocks in that chest, that's what this condition is checking. If false, I output the appropriate error. If true, then we basically for each block gate, take one piece of cellular block from here and place it. Block gates are effectively an auto breaker and an auto placer in one. If you withdraw from them, it's an auto breaker. If you insert into them, it's an auto placer. Not terribly surprising, I suppose, given that the recipe is an auto placer and an auto breaker. Anyways, so input and output one piece of cellulose that places it on top of this white cobblestone. Then output a redstone signal to the flower for 65 seconds. That causes our floating Dandelifean here to turn on and do its thing for, I guess, 65. Does it take 65 seconds? No, it takes about 50 seconds, doesn't it? So actually, let's reduce that time. I can maybe make the timing a little bit more aggressive this way. Set it to like 52 seconds. There we go. And then we'll put you back in your place. So what it should do, I've only tested a couple cycles, but when I flip this lever, the next time it checks, starting now, it places our cellular blocks and turns the redstone signal to this on, which causes them to start doing their thing. We can check how much time is elapsed. I guess this sequencer is still useful. It lets us check how much time has elapsed. But when this sequencer hits about 50, we expect the cellular blocks to run into the red cobblestone there and thus get eaten. So we're halfway there. And by the magic of video editing, we're almost there. So 47, 48, 49, 50. Perfect timing. And then the mana hits here, which causes the Dandelifean to eat the cellular blocks and generate mana, setting it to the mana pool. And a new set of cellular blocks gets placed a couple seconds later. The timing should be set such that as soon as this Dandelifean runs out of the mana from the previous cycle, the next cycle reaches it. So let's check that again. Again, it should be pretty close to once this hits 50. And we're almost there. 10 seconds left, and you are just on your tail end of mana, which means I think my timing is almost perfect. Yeah, it just ran out of mana as a new one shows up. Ooh, that is good. That is really good. Anyways, so now our Dandelifean is, I guess, fully automated. It'll run until either the mana pool fills up, I hit the kill switch, or we run out of cellular blocks. And then all I need to do to make cellular blocks is to put firm tofu, grass, and beets in here. So right now, beets are our bottleneck. Let's go grab some from our farm. At some point, I should set up the farm to be auto-harvested too. Now that we have MB machines, we can automatically harvest. I mean, we could have done it sooner too with Thaumcraft Golds, but oh well. I guess that'll be our next step, maybe. Anyways, if I just run these beets over to here and put them in the input chest, the system will automatically detect that there's valid items in here and craft them into more cellular blocks. What a nifty setup, eh? Anyways, so this will give us one mana pool of mana. If that's not enough, what I can do is, I can't make sparks yet, can I? Spark. Pristine blaze matter? I can make sparks. I mean, I can almost make sparks. I have to train a blaze deep mob learning thing. Can I make spark augments though? I want recessive. No, I cannot. I can't do that until I can make an elven gateway core. Okay, so I guess sparks aren't valuable yet. But my point is, now that our mana is automated, or no, my point was, if I want, I guess I can still use mana spreaders to disperse this one mana pool into a couple other mana pools just so I can hold more. I think one mana pool worth of capacity is fine though. I'm gonna leave this be to go finish, to go fill up, and I guess let's do the farming thing really quickly then. So there's a few options for how we want to harvest, but I'm gonna go with the plant interactor. It's just, it clicks plants for you basically. Now it also needs a range add-on. So I noticed range add-ons have some weird crafting recipes in this pack. If I want a range 3 add-on, which is what I need for a 7x7 farm, I need to craft it up from range 2 and 1, which means I need to make arcane stone, which means I need to make nacre, which is oh, I guess I can wait. Yeah, no, I still need to make the nacre fluid, which requires dropping, yada yada yada. I was about to set that up, but then I saw I can just make a range 4 card without going through that whole process. I mean, I still will eventually have to go through it, but I guess every couple tiers you can just craft it. Weird. Anyways, I'm just gonna go with range 4. It's a little bit inefficient because my farm is only 7x7, but it's fine. And then I'll just convert one of these crop plots over to be an automated farm. I don't know which one to do. I guess it probably doesn't matter. I'll do one that's facing this way, I guess. Here, we'll do this plot. The reason I say using the larger range add-on is slightly inefficient is because this block actually checks 1 by 1 each block in its working area for harvestables. So it's going to check these, blocks that cannot possibly have a harvestable crop on it, but that's fine. Our crops don't grow that fast right now anyways. I mean, they grow fast, but not that fast. Anyways, if we put upgrades in it, it does make it faster. Every 4 ticks, it checks the crop, and that'll basically guarantee that it'll harvest crops within a couple seconds of them growing. Like, how many seconds is that crop? It may be spent 5 seconds fully grown, but like 90% of our field here is harvestable. So I'm going to start planting a little bit of everything in this crop field here. I don't just need a bunch of soybean and corn, right? I'll have a little bit of everything. Using these barrels to store items makes me really miss storage drawers, and especially the drawer controller. I want to store items in here because they auto void when full, but there's no controller equivalent. So when I want to hook my logistics pipes up to this, I have to hook a pipe up to every single barrel. Class. Anyways, I have various crops growing here. Most crops only have a couple farm plots allocated to them, but fact of the matter is it's probably enough. Even if it only produces a stack every 10 minutes, I'm not consuming crops in tremendous amounts right now. One thing I can do to speed this up, and it's pretty easy, is just replace the apiaries around here with sprinklers, because the sprinklers are far more powerful individually than the apiaries. And I think now we can do that. Right? These sprinklers, yeah, it's just basically an LV pump each. So I'll make a handful of sprinklers. How many is this? It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 by 4, so 32 sprinklers. Sure, I'll make 32 sprinklers and we'll speed up at least this one farm plot that's automated. Alright, hooking or swapping out all the apiaries for sprinklers has made this a lot faster. I'd say about half of the plants grow each harvest cycle. So, I mean, we can just look at this kind of gives you an idea of how fast our stuff in general is flowing in. Alright, next up, let's hook these systems or these crates up to our logistics pipes so that we can see these items from our request table. For sake of simplicity here, I'm just using provider logistics pipes. That's in contrast to the provider logistics modules that I'm using in here, or the provider modules. Because I'm only using a single pipe here, it means that these inventories can only be extracted from. They cannot be inserted to with logistics pipes, and that's fine. I can't imagine the number of times I would have to, item sync farm goods back into these drawers. If I do put them in my, if I take them out and I withdraw excess and I put them back like this, they'll end up going into general storage, which is acceptable. So yeah, now if we go over to our logistics table, we can see, say, if we look for seeds, all the seeds from our farm are available here. So if we request seeds, I don't know how many we have in general storage, but first it'll pull from general storage. Those were the ones you just saw. And then the rest will come over from our farm. Actually, maybe the ones you saw were... Oh, no, here they come. Takes them a little bit longer because they have to literally travel. But that's logistics pipes for you. And here they are in our inventory. So as I mentioned, if I put them back, they'll actually, if you follow, you see that they went into general storage because that's... because seeds are not set to be item synced into those specialized storage locations. Unfortunately, you can't put torches on top of the logistics pipes. So since I'm running the pipes in the same areas that I'm running my torches, I do have to be kind of careful not to accidentally create dark spots. But oh well. The way my lighting grid is set up has a lot of extra torches that aren't strictly needed. So losing some of them does not necessarily create dark spots on its own. Logistics pipes also has what is the equivalent to applied energistics export bus, and that is the active, or no, that's not the right module. I want an active supplier module. So if I chisel this, whoopsie, I have to clear its MBT data now. Chisel this into an active supplier module. So there's two suppliers modules. There's active supplier and just a regular supplier, which might not actually be visible. The regular supplier is more like a... The regular supplier will only send items here when they enter the network. So I guess that in a way makes it more like a storage bus or the or a item sync module. I guess it's most akin to an item sync module. The active supplier, on the other hand, will send items in, I want it in partial mode, that match this here. So if I say, you know, a stack of beets in partial mode, it'll keep one stack of beets in this chest at all times. And in fact, well, as soon as they show up, they're being used to craft. Right? They're being turned into cellulose. But that's going to cause it to pull another stack of beets, which should show up soon. I don't know why this one pipe segment is red, but it doesn't seem to break anything, so I'm going to assume that's a rendering error. That should pull more beets, unless I'm out. Oh, here they come. Here come another stack of beets. They get put into here, and they'll eventually get crafted. But since now that I'm out of firm tofu or soft tofu, whatever, it can't craft it anymore, so these beets stay in here, and this export bus or active supplier stops supplying. Now there's a couple different modes. Full, I think, means it'll send all the requested items when it's out. Bulk 50 is when it's at half. So after using half the beets, it'll, you know, ask for 32 of them at a time. Bulk 100 is it'll only ask for all of it at a time. I don't know how that's different from full. I'm going to skip past infinite because infinite just keeps requesting it forever. And partial is, you know, as soon as you use one, it'll request one. All right, so that's a bit more automation. Now for the other things we need, grass, I don't have, you know, an automated way of making grass yet. I guess I could use like saplings instead. And for tofu, I guess I also, you know, I don't have a automated centrifuge yet to turn soybeans into tofu, although that's not to say we couldn't make that. One of the next things I want to do is automate the production of clay, both for this polymer clay to power our sim chambers, as well as for our electrolyzer here, which needs a steady supply of clay. However, that's the way I was leaning towards, was using the Clayconia, which turns sand into clay at a very small mana cost. However, it takes a mystical gray flour, and I don't actually know how to make this. Normally, you know, these flours are made with the fertilizer from Botania, right? Well, first of all, they're found in world, but they don't generate in world here. They can be made with the fertilizer, but the fertilizer is disabled. So I think that only leaves the jaded amaranthus. However, this needs a Thaumcraft infusion altar, and I don't think we're quite at that point yet. So I guess we have to take another approach to clay. So I decided to use the astral sorcery way of making clay, and that is to transmute sand to clay using a collector crystal. It was called a floating crystal earlier, but now it's called a collector crystal. Anyways, turns out that the regular white collector crystals cannot take advantage of the structure. So I built this here thinking it would, but it can't. So this is here for when we eventually start making the good collector crystals. These basic collector crystals during the day with the sun out are actually like really, really awful. But what happens is it shines light on the sand, which eventually transmutes it into clay. Now, here's something about blockades I think most people don't know. You can actually use them without the machine inventory manager. It just acts as an inventory of what it's pointing at. So right now it's acting as an inventory that contains sand. In fact, if I put this here, I can demonstrate with another item conduit. If I just do this, it'll fill this up with sand reasonably quickly too. It grabs, I mean, it's not as quick as like your falling sand generator, and it's a little bit laggy, but if you like, this is one way to make a reasonable sand generator. However, we don't want a sand generator, we want a clay generator. Whoopsies. This drill is so fast that or jackhammer, that I keep accidentally breaking things I don't mean to. But what we can do then is effectively filter the extract such that it only gets clay. However, there's still one small problem with this. When it mines the big piece of clay, it only has one internal inventory slot, so it drops the other 3. At least that's how it behaves when you use it without the machine inventory manager. I'm going to try it with and see if I can pick up all 4 pieces at once. So this does work now. When the sand transmutes, it gets picked up and all 4 pieces get moved into the barrel. I honestly don't know why the item conduit can't do all 4 at a time, because item conduits do extract 4 items at a time. But alas, it just means we have to use another machine inventory manager. This is kind of why I don't like programming mods. Once you start doing programming mods, you just kind of program everything. I mean, this isn't really programming. This is a glorified item conduit. But anyways, this produces clay for us. It is unfortunately horrifically slow, at least during the day, because our collector crystal doesn't get the structure boost. So if it's no faster at night, it's probably not worth using, but I haven't seen a nighttime with it yet. So it's almost nighttime. Let's see if it's better with the stars out. Wait, the name of these items in JEI has changed. They're now called Celestial Collector. I think it's when you gain the research to like learn about them, their name changes. But they still only show up when you search floating crystal. Right? If I search collector, like they don't, I don't know. Anyways, I'm just kind of curious, when's the earliest we can make these? And the answer is we need moon access for Stardust, as well as, I don't care for attuned celestial crystals, but I think a good celestial crystal we have to make in the Sky Cauldron, which also requires moon access for Stardust and I guess found in dungeons, overworld dungeons if I had to guess. And even during the night, it's taking like 10 seconds for it to make 4 clay, which I guess is like not the worst. It is automated, but it's a little on the slow side. We'll leave it for now. I'll probably find a better use for that crystal down the line, though. Using that clay, I've automated the polymer clay. So there was a new recipe added this update again that lets us make polymer clay from clay and plastic-enriched eggs, which is convenient. So remember here, before I just had my Spectre Coil powering a CEF to power a CEU, and how ridiculous that was? I was actually thinking ahead to the day when I would need to also power an alloy smelter. So I just moved stuff around a little bit so I could send power to an alloy smelter here. The eggs come from the chicken here. Now, one thing about these GregTech alloy smelters is they'll be perfectly happy stuffing the same item in both slots and jamming the machine up. So to prevent that, I'm using an active supplier module here to supply both of these in partial mode, which means it will never send more than a stack of each. So like I could just use this item, the same piece of item conduit to move the eggs down, but then to prevent inserting more than a stack of eggs, I need to use a limited item filter. So to save on a filter, I just use the supplier module to move items 2 blocks. Anyways, this produces our polymer clay for us automatically. I think our clay production rate is actually slower than this one machine alone can consume it, which means I'm not going to bother hooking it up to our electrolyzer yet because we just don't produce enough clay. After I do the Thaumcraft infusion, we'll switch over to making clay the Botania way, which will be a lot less bad. Anyways, with our polymer clay though, we can now run sim chambers all the time and produce all the various types of matter. So I'll probably add a sim chamber to do stuff like Enderman sims and Blaze and I don't know, whatever else we might need. I went and leveled a Enderman data model to basic. Took all night doing it. My weapon actually does, I think, just enough damage to put Enderman at like 1 heart. And it poisons them, so it causes them to teleport away. And they have a tendency to die to other things while they're running away from me. Made it very hard to get 6 kills. But I got my 6, and now we'll run the Enderman sim. Looking at the sims, we actually don't really need most of them. Like this overworldy matter doesn't really do anything. EXP. Besides that, all of these pristines are not very good. They're just like, it's not like Omnifactory where these become your ingots, you know? They're mostly junk. So the extraterrestrial matter though, it's just more EXP, and I think you can centrifuge it for some other goodies. Like under air bottles, it lets you do some stuff like Botania red string comparators before you make it to the end, which is nice. It's also more EXP per. And the Enderman model, or the Enderman pristine matter, can become Ender Pearls, which are also useful. Unlike, say, the Creeper one, which is just a whole lot of gunpowder. Don't know what I'm going to do with all this gunpowder. Well, that's all the time we have for today, so let's wrap things up by crafting a couple stacks of mana steel. It's nice to have a mana pool that actually has a meaningful amount of mana in it. Alright, well, that's all I got for today. I hope you enjoyed this episode, and I hope to see you in the next one. Here, bye-bye.